Welcome back, everyone. My name is Abby. Today's practice is going to be a combination restorative and pranayama practice. So we'll do some poses and shapes that are super relaxed, super chill, and a little bit of intentional breath work or pranayama. Also, as I'm filming this, I am nearly 30 weeks pregnant. Everything I'm offering up is still feeling good in my body, but please listen to your body, whether you're pregnant or not, and do what feels right. Please don't force any of the pranayama practices that we do. Don't force any of the physical shapes that we do. And just make sure that the whole time you are feeling nourished and supported. For props today, I'd love you to have at least one block, if not three. Two's fine too, but one or three is going to be maybe most helpful. If you don't have three, you can use one block plus a couple of smaller pillows or larger pillows, but small is fine, just to pad our knees at some point. And then if you have two blankets or even beach towels, great, wonderful, or a meditation cushion, that can work great as well. And then a bolster. If you don't have a proper yoga bolster, you can use some longer, larger pillows, like bed-size pillows. And depending on how dense they are, you may want one or two of those. If they're down or like real squishy, I recommend at least two. So gather up the props that you have, and when you're ready, we'll start seated. And if you have a meditation cushion, feel free to just set up however you know you like to set up. If you don't have a meditation cushion, you can use a couple of blankets and a block, and I'll show you how I like to do this. Usually I like to have one blanket on, kind of unfolded on the mat to pad my knees, a block between my ankles or feet. Sometimes that already feels good, but I like to have a little extra cushion, a little extra height. So taking my second blanket up on top of that block. So this way I feel like my pelvis is a little bit elevated above my knees. My spine is in a nice tall natural curve. So my pelvis is tilted a little forward. There's a little arch in my low back. And then from there I can sit up nice and tall. So set up in a way that feels good to be seated. And then if it feels good to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. And start just by taking a few deeper, longer breaths. Notice any shifts that naturally occur as you turn your attention towards yourself, towards your breathing, towards your internal space and landscape. Take just 3 more breaths, just as you are. And then you can open the eyes briefly. We will come back to some quiet breathing, but I want to show you one thing first. So we're not going to change anything about the breath necessarily, but we're just going to count our breath on our hand. And I do have a video on this called Spiral Breathing if you want to watch the whole thing, but here's the crash course. We'll start by taking the thumb to the base of the pointer finger. We'll take a breath there and then move the thumb up one phalange to the mid pointer finger. Take another breath. And then move up again, take another breath. This is where it can get a little confusing. Then we'll move over, take another breath. Then we'll move over, take another breath. We'll move over, and then we'll go back down again. It's a spiral, so don't overthink it. We're going up, and then over, and then down, and then back around. So I'll cue us through the first 12 breaths. 12 breaths is one spiral. And I'll cue us through the movement of the thumb there. So resting your left hand palm face up and taking your thumb to the base of the pointer finger, we'll take a full breath in and a breath back out. And then move the thumb up one notch to the mid pointer finger, breath in and breath out. Moving to the tip of the pointer finger, breath in and breath out. Moving to the tip of the middle finger, breath in and breath out. Moving to the tip of the ring, breath in, breath out. Moving to the tip of the pinky, breath in and breath out. Moving to the middle of the pinky, breath in and breath out. Base of pinky, breath in, breath out. Base of ring, breath in, breath out. Base of middle, breath in, breath out. Up to the middle of the middle, breath in, breath out. Middle of ring, breath in, breath out. Moving back to the beginning, base of pointer, breath in, breath out. Middle of pointer, breath in, breath out. Tip of pointer, breath in, breath out. Tip of middle, breath in, breath out. Breathing at your own pace, continue on that spiral. Don't worry if you get it right or wrong. There's really no such thing. We're just using the thumb and the fingers to get a little bit of feedback to keep a rhythm with the breath. Once you get to the end of the spiral or middle of that ring finger, you can release the hands, just palms face down to the lap, or perhaps take a hand to your belly and another to your heart. Take another couple breaths, noticing the state of things. And then you can release the hands. Slide any props out from underneath your butt that you may have had there. And we'll come to hands and knees just for a little bit of movement before we take our first restorative shape. So again, I like to have a little padding under my knees. And then moving the spine in any direction that feels good. It could be cats and cows, could be more circular shapes. Eyes can be open or closed. And again, as you start to move a little bit, notice the shift of the breath or the rhythm of the breath. And then you can come into a child's pose for a couple breaths if you are also pregnant, or if you would just like a more supported child's pose. You can take one of your blocks on its lowest or maybe even medium or maybe even highest setting, and then your bolster or pillow kind of leaned on it. And then you can fold over it, head turned to one side. So making room for your belly. We'll just be here about 5 breaths, so not a super long time. And if you notice that that's not quite the right height for you, you can even add in a second block. So really it's just kind of playing around, finding the right height for you. Ah, that feels nice to me. 2 blocks. And notice the breath moving towards the back side of the ribs, the back side of the heart. And then from there, we'll come on up and we'll set up our first longer held restorative shape. So I usually like to use a bolster and a block, but that's partially because my bolster is very thick. If you have a slightly less thick bolster, or if you're just using pillows, you may want to just only use the pillows of the bolster. But if you're using a thick bolster, propping it up a little bit is nice, especially if you're pregnant. And then taking one of your blankets, you can open it up so that it's pretty long, roll it up, and then we'll take the soles of the feet together and the knees apart, take the blanket on top of the feet and under the thighs. And then this is where you may want either your other 2 blocks, or if you don't have 2 more blocks, you can use pillows and just slide those under your legs. Some of us may not need that, but if you have rather tight inner thighs, then your thighs might appreciate having a little more support. So laying on down, taking either your extra pillows or blocks underneath the thighs, snuggling the feet in towards the hips, and then letting the arms come down by the sides, palms face up. And depending on what you're feeling in the shoulders, what you want to feel in the shoulders, you could even take the arms wider. Move this blanket out of the way. Arms could go really wide if you want more of a stretch in the chest and the pecs. But finding a spot that feels like you could really relax. And then taking a few deeper, slower breaths as you settle in. And noticing the specifics of the shape. If you are here and you're like, ooh, actually, I would want a little bit more support under my head, take the time, find another blanket or a little pillow or towel to slide under the head. Noticing the rhythm of the breath. And then, if it helps, you could return to that spiral counting on the fingers with your breath. Only if that helps. If that feels like too much thinking, no need to do it. But if you want, you could again take the thumb to the base of the pointer finger. Take a breath there. Move the thumb up. Take a breath there. Move the thumb up. Take a breath there, and then move the thumb over, taking a breath there, starting that spiral. So, a tool to use if that helps you to stay focused and grounded. Otherwise, just let yourself be observant and present with your breath. Take another 3 or 4 breaths. And then from here, you can slide the pillows or blocks out from underneath the legs. Draw the knees towards each other and roll gently over to one side and back up to a seat.